the A minor shaped sixth in the C position is actually in the C box. So here, these guys were in the D box, remember, right? This is our D. This is our D modal box with cutout. Okay, and then we have, if we're just going to do one of these things, alright, the A minor is going to be really coined from the C box. Okay, so your C box is 3, 4, 5 there. The A minor shape is going to be 3, 6 root right there. It fits right in. We just have to know from the fret nut that we're going to bar the third for that A minor shape. There's its relative. There's its relative 6 right there, 6. So from the D, just like that. Because if we take that A minor shape and go pentatonically, it's a C minor shape. It's going to go 3, 6 root. We'll get about that far. We won't get to the 3 again. We could arpeggiate it. 6 root and then 3 again. But right here we're back at the A minor shape anyway. Okay, so that's how it works with those cages. And indeed I made a chart to do that. Okay, and we can talk about that chart a little bit. So let's just look where we just were. Okay, where we just were was with the D cage. Now I've only put the data for the short cage with D. Okay, so you remember, I don't want to go through playing this, because remember I've talked about in the past about getting into the modals. I was going to say noodles. Noodling with the modals. This is it with the short patterns, but when you get to that G, you got to go below the fret nut if you're playing it in the open position. Okay, so that's not going to work, but it works. I put short cage right there. Let's look at a different cage and see how this strange nomenclature works. Let's look at the E cage, which is our long E root 2, 3. ER long. Okay, so starting with like your fret nut, which would be on the E here. I'd really rather do it in C, but I'll do it in E. It'd be root 2, 3. Like that. So starting from the bottom, we could build that root 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, root 2, 3, 4, 5. It probably sounds better in the key of C. With me, it's root 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, root 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, then 6, 7, root 2, 3, 4. I don't know if I played it wrong or if it was out of tune. But I like to stay in the key of C if we can. So just imagine the fret nuts down there. That's the progression that takes us up. Remember, ER long's the long pattern's always gonna go to the next cage up. So where did we stop? We stopped on the D here. 2, 3, 4 was the top one from there. All right. So let's just look at that root 2, 3, and then we end up at root 2, 3 if we keep playing. If we started on that D, right? Because we were originally on the E cage. So if we started on that D, we'd get to 5, 6, 7, and then we get to root 2, 3 again, like that. So let's say we're doing that on the bottom, and we're going to look over here. What are these columns? So the string shape's root 2, 3. The next modal string shape is the D string shape. The string shape fourth is the A long string shape. Root 2, 3. Remember, string shape fourths do not share notes. They are long patterns and they do not share notes. So it's 5, 6, 7. Okay, root 2, 3. Oh, it goes to 4, 5, 6. Okay. So the string shape fourth of the D, okay, that was the fifth. The string shape fourth of the root 2, 3, it'd be, I can play it up here. it's 3, 2, 1, and then we have 7, 6, 5. That's your A long pattern. Remember, A is 5, 6. Just showing you that it's accurate. But, you know, now we're kind of like chained to the chart, you know. Okay, so it's 1, 4, 5 on tripentatonic play away is just going to be E shape, A shape, but we can't get that C shape. Okay, we can't get that C shape there. That sounded good though. So we have to go up 1 with the D shape. So it's 1, 4. Okay, now we have A shape. Sorry, I played D shape there. It's A shape in the D cage. So let's just talk about what this means with this nomenclature here. Anytime I have the letter here and this letter here, it means this is the cage that we're in, the short cage. We can call it the short cage that we're in, and this is the shape we're playing in that cage. Okay, these extra parentheses are just to kind of like, you know, treat this as X cross Y cross Z. You know, this whole thing would be in here. But the important thing is, if we've got enough fretboard, we're going to go E, A, C. E, A, C. Remember, the 4th of E shape is A shape, and then the 5th of E shape is C shape. Okay? Because we don't have a B shape. The 5th of E would be B, but we have to go back to C shape. So that's, you know, your C and your E shaped F. They're reciprocals. But we can't get that with the long pattern. Okay, so if I'm playing from the fret nut down here, root 2, 3, I can't get the C shape. Watch. I can only get a C dominant. And that works good because it is the 5th. So remember that. Everybody knows this C chord here, this dominant chord. It's more commonly known as like a B7 chord. But you gotta have the capo or the fret nut there. It's the same shape as your B7 chord. That's a C-shaped chord faked by using a dominant right there. So that's what that is. But if you want to get just a pure 5th, go up to the A shape in the D cage. Remember, C cage goes to D. In caged. I mean, the E cage goes to D. Sorry, this is the E cage. Remember, the long pattern is E cage. Remember I talked about how the long patterns and the long cages are still going to use the short cages. So the long pattern, root 2, 3, still uses most of that E shape, which is 7, root 2. That's why we use the short patterns to identify where we are within that long pattern. Within the long cages, rather, not patterns. So same thing, probably. So that's the 1, 4, 5 for the root 2, 3 long pattern. And remember our long pattern, root 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, root 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, root 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, root 2. But the 5, 6 would be long pattern. So it's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, root 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Keeps going in a circle. Okay? So right now we're just looking at root 2, 3, and is it a modal cage? Yes, it's a modal cage. What does that mean? It means we're not going to do play away. We're going to do, see, I was wrong when I was playing this so fast. I was doing root 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, root 2, 3, 4, 5. Now instead of 6, 7, root 2, 3, 4, we're going to go 3, 4, 5, and then back to the 4th string shape of the top of the bass string shape, which is the A long. So let me stop talking and just play it so you can hear it. Okay, so that's with the cutout, which defines our E